Good afternoon, welcome to the channel, welcome to the Liam and Joe Show, welcome to our first 40k show of the week. I have to specify 40k show now, because we did 2 Call of Duty streams yesterday.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, head over to the video description, have a look at the gaming channel link, you can hang out with us in that one if you are interested in that kind of content. It's got its own things now, we're making that something separate and different, but welcome to our first 40k stream of the week. It's the Liam and Joe Show, which I was kind of thinking about getting rid of, Joe, because it wasn't really doing very well monetary-wise.
You're one of those people that it's not performing. Murder it.
Murder it dead.
Whereas I'm like, no, I like it.
Yeah, well, the problem is apparently the audience really likes it as well.
Yeah, like Jonathan Disabled, it just says daddy.
So welcome back. Today what we're going to talk about is basically 10th edition, right? And what's going on. Why is YouTube saying no data there? That's a concern. Green tick and no data. Basically, we're going to talk about 10th edition. Don't worry about it, Joe. I think it's okay. I think YouTube's just having a fit here, right?
Yeah, there's numbers and stuff going on.
And the title of the stream is Too Soon for 10th edition. We'll go into that in just a moment. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube things for us, pretty please. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Smash that subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you can't talk in chat, it's because you're not subscribed. And if you're watching this on demand, YouTube says 37% of people are watching our content are currently not subscribers. And you can hit that bell notification icon, you'll be notified every single time we go live or drop a video or a short or anything like that.
Although our concurrent viewers just dropped, I imagine they all clicked on the link to go to the
gaming channel.
That's
what it is,
press
yeah.
subscribe and then came back.
There's like 130 people in chat, so I'll just see it go up by 130
Yeah, so basically, you've got 2 seconds, just link, subscribe, come back. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, big shout out to Gregory Lamb and Joshua Morris, 2 people who chose to support the channel before we even got going on today's stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check the benefits out in the members section. There's lots of different levels that we offer you with lots of different benefits for all of those things. So check that out and make sure you come and hang out with us in the Great Hall Discord server. We've had an influx of new people lately. A lot of them are super lovely, super friendly people, so thank you so much. And from Luce and I, a big thank you to everybody's support over the last 5-6 days. It's quite frankly been incredible. So we're very, very grateful. If you want to continue to supporting the channel, supporting the stream, supporting the content, you can either become a member, you can gift memberships, you can super chat, you can super thanks, you can super sticker. I mean, ultimately, you can just watch those videos, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Yeah. It all supports us and we're very, 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 very grateful. You can also buy channel merchandise like the beautiful shirt modelled by Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell weird at all.
They do smell really weird when they turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they're washed, I'm sure it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah. Normally I think it's me that's smelly, but no.
Right. And we'll address the elephant in the room, Joe. Not you.
Oh.
Although your trunk's out. They can't see it. Chris, thank you for the donation. I wanted to change something, Jay.
Yeah.
And I said to Luce yesterday, I've been thinking about just getting rid of it all for ages. Getting rid of the lot. And
you should have it for charity.
I don't feel like that would have raised much money. I feel like if I would have said I'm shaving my beard for charity, people would have probably put a lot of money in, but I'm never going to do that. I feel like that other one would have just been a whole waste of time and effort.
Yeah. So with me, I feel like I do my hair for it, but they're like, it's a matter of time.
But after last week, fresh start, let's get going.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make something, I want to make a change. And do you know what I don't have to do in the morning anymore? My hair. Yeah.
I mean, I have to do a lot of work on it. It rained today and it's gone all frizzy and my weird little clippy things come out.
I've leaned into the thing that Joe's trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I actually don't have an actual bald spot. Poor old Joe.
So I have to wrap it around. Just I've got to do this weird little wrap thing. And then I get the little clip. And then
wow.
There we go. And then that hides it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Right.
Unless it rains. Yeah. And then everyone behind me knows. That is the secret I keep. Yeah.
So, today's topic, we're going to talk about 10th edition and Too Soon. Why are we talking about this? Okay, there's been a lot of stuff on the YouTubes, on the internet, in the community, in Reddit, on all kinds of different platforms and in Discord servers about the potential, we think, incoming 10th edition. Yeah. Now, although it's not officially confirmed anywhere, there is a lot of rumours, and there's been some little mini leaks here and there that would lead us to believe that it probably is coming this year. Yeah. One of the main ones, namely, was, if you're in the UK, was the announcement of limited edition stamps from Royal Mail and the date in which they gave, which kind of linked into timings that people said they thought 10th edition was coming. Yeah. So it is widely accepted and widely kind of known that 10th edition is coming. Now, this isn't a confirmation. We don't know for definite. We're just looking at the same information that you guys are. And what I wanted to talk to Joe about today, and importantly talk to you guys about today, was whether we think, if 10th edition is coming, when we think it is coming, which will be sometime around the summertime, June, July-ish, do we think it's too soon? Now, 2000 and Jesus, 2020.
Indomitus box came out.
2020? We were in COVID.
Was COVID, yeah. It was...
Summer 2020.
Yeah.
So, Indomitus launched in the summer of 2020. The reason why I remember it's 2020 is simply because we were in the midst of COVID. We couldn't play the new edition when it was announced and released to us because we were all in lockdown. And COVID was COVID-19, which launched, I say launched, that's a terrible way of wording it. It launched itself at us in 2020, in this country specifically anyway. I don't know when it hit, obviously, your home countries. So 2020, summertime 2020, Indomitus came out, 8th edition, which means if we do in fact see a launch of 10th edition in the summer this year, we would have had just 3 years with it. And around 12 months of the time with 9th edition would have been COVID, on and off of lockdowns, in and out of support bubbles and all that kind of stuff. So it could already be argued that we haven't had as much time as we would have liked to...
Well, they released a whole chapter approved, didn't it? Which never got... Which literally only had, a month of use. There was lots of people that did very well at tournaments using that chapter approved.
For 8th edition?
Was it 9th edition? Was it? We had chapter approved, came out for 9th edition. But like tournaments weren't really happening, and everyone was wearing masks and things, and people just weren't really going. So
we could already argue that because of COVID, which isn't Games Workshop's fault, and I understand that a business can't really necessarily go, well, I'm sorry, but So because of COVID, we haven't had as long with 9th edition as we've had with previous editions. Now we look at 8th edition, there was probably a 3 or 4 year period for 8th edition, roughly. So I'm not surprised that the cycle was 3 years, but when you take into consideration the fact that we couldn't play it properly for perhaps the first 6 months, at least maybe even a year, then arguably we haven't had as much time as we could or should have had with 9th, and so perhaps we should go a bit longer. But actually I want to look at a little bit further on. I want to look at now. Okay, so we've just had the release of Astra Militarum. We've just had the release of World Eaters. Astra Militarum has had a wild shake-up with loads of new units. World Eaters is a completely brand new faction. We're about to see a new Snickrot. We're about to see a new Farsight. We've got the new Arcs of Omen books coming thick and fast. We've already had 2 or 3 of them. I think Vashal's out now. 3 of them are out already. And then 4th one coming soon.
But they only announced 4. They said that there was only going to be 4.
I think there's only 4.
It was almost like the end times, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For fantasy.
But if you think about it, we're in March. We're towards, we're second, third of March,
right? Week of March, aren't we?
So we're 3 to 4 months off of 10th edition, potentially, if we believe the dates.
So Warhammer Fest is last weekend of April. I know this because I still haven't got my hotel for it yet. But
I think that's when they're going to announce it.
If anyone wants me to crash in their spare room or their outhouse,
prison wallet.
Yeah. Then.
So if we think about the fact we feel like we've got 3 or 4 months left of 9th, all these rules coming out now are arguably creating feels bads for players. As a World Eaters player, look at my nice shiny new t-shirt.
They said, the thing is though, this happened with a bit 7th edition-y, didn't it? When they were just sending out all these weird kind of the Dimikarian detachment style things where Space Marines got an extra 2,000 points of free equipment, didn't they? Like all their transports were done. Even like in Warhammer Fantasy Battle before they went to Age of Sigmar, they just gave up. And they were like, Magic's gone crazy. All wizards have access to every psychic power across the entire range.
Did they actually do that?
They did that.
Oh, really?
So I was at Games Workshop at the time, and there was kids. There was like these like 14, 15-year-old kids like came in with like Teclis and Tyrion and like all of their mages, and they had every single deck of magic powers from every single army because they just had access to them.
It's mad.
So their magic phase was like, oh, hang on, I've got to find a spell that's relevant.
But the thing is, though, Joe, right? The thing is, we've heard kind of rumours and rumblings, and these are just rumours and rumblings, that 10th edition also might be quite the reset. Now, conversely with what I'm saying, or against, opposite to what I'm saying, if that's the case, I'm not entirely against it, because me personally, I love 40k. I love Warhammer. I like The whole thing we do on the channel isn't necessarily about the edition itself, it's about what Warhammer means. And Warhammer means hanging out with your mates, throwing dice, enjoying yourself. However, as an actual edition, I don't love it at the moment. And I think it's a bit of a mess. And I don't hate it, and I love playing it, and I'm having fun, but it could be better. Some of the rumours we've heard would lead me to think they're going down a path which I think is worse.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't know if they're true. So we can't really...
That's the problem, them being rumours, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the change of Warhammer Fantasy Battle to AOS was massive. And then the change of 7th edition to 8th edition was massive. I mean, that was only 2 editions ago.
Can you pump your volume up slightly?
That was only 2 editions ago, right? So I think that what we need now... Which one am I, number 2?
You're number 2. Pump it up a little bit, right? Because people are saying I'm booming compared to you.
Booming.
Booming.
So what I don't want to have after 2 editions a complete reset. I want a soft reset, kind of like what AOS 3 was to 2. What Horus Heresy, the new edition, is the old one. Like the core rules are the same.
Yeah, I agree.
With a few minor tweaks. I think my major issue with 9th edition is the same as what it was near the end of 7th edition. The core rules are great. They're simple, they're easy to use, they're basic, it functions well. The problem is the codexes that are then being introduced. Yeah. All of the supplements are being introduced.
The thing is, if they do a hard reset, this is where I think they have a real risk of really upsetting a certain number of people.
Yeah.
Because, again, talk of recent codexes, Astra Militarum and World Eaters, etc. Imagine you buy this new book, especially if you look at things like limited edition World Eaters codexes, limited edition Astra Militarum and stuff. You have 3 to 6 months with it before it's then completely nerfed and you have to start again. So if you have a soft reset and they can map the code, so that like they did AOS 2 to 3, and you can still use your old Battle Tome or Codex, cool, okay.
Yeah.
That kind of works.
It's like they only just introduced Votan. In the timescale of things, Votan are only a couple months old. So people have gone out, they've bought the limited box sets, they've sunk loads and loads of money into armies and terrible tattoos, and then you get a new reset for 10th edition, and arguably, they might become terrible.
Yeah.
They might be awful. So, like, I think for a lot of people, like, changing the rules after a lot of people have invested, because, say, for instance, World Eaters, their rules drastically change. And, like, everyone's bought loads, say, 8-bound become toilet.
I mean, that's very GW.
Yeah.
Like, here's a good unit. The rules are amazing. Oh, we've sold loads of them. It's not so good now.
Yeah, it's like for the new update coming in a couple of weeks that's kind of been rumoured. Like, I don't see Kassakin being touched at all because they're always sold out all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't. So
me personally, I'm really, really, really crossing everything, fingers, toes a lot, that it isn't a hard reset, that we don't move into one of the big rumours that's out there at the moment. If you aren't aware, chat, and don't worry, I'm seeing the super chats and the gifted memberships, etc. We will address them, and if you want to stick a comment or a question in, make sure you stick it on a big colourful postcard. We'll get there, I promise. But one of the big things that's rumoured, for example, is a complete change in the way units are wounded. And there's 2 that I've heard, 2 different rumours. And this is why we know they're rumours, right? Because there's 2 wildly different versions of how it could work. One of them is it moves straight into an AOS-based mechanic, whereby no matter what you're hitting, your weapon has a wound value, like a 2+, a 3+, a 4+. And whether you're hitting a knight or a tank or a character, that's what you wound on. I personally hate that mechanic. I have no interest in that mechanic at all.
Yeah.
And if the other one that we've heard is that there is in fact no wound roll whatsoever, you roll to hit, and if you successfully hit, it moves into saving throws.
I hate that even more.
It depends on if how they change the saving throw thing. Now, both of these things would require a monumental reset in a lot of the way the units work.
Because I think if they take away a wound roll, right, then they have to drastically change how you hit things.
Or how things save to increase their toughness.
And like how you hit things. So say a guardsman still hits on a 4, it's 50-50. I've hit you, now you roll to save. But then shooting at other guardsmen, like who normally have a 5-up save, like that just means things die even faster.
Which, if I'm honest with you, is already a problem I have, is how fast things die.
So,
you spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on these toys that we like to play with, hours and hours and hours building and painting. You put things on the table against a particular opponent in game 1 at your first GT, and you pick up half your army. That just feels bad
Yeah,
moments.
and having a particular wound roll for a weapon also doesn't make sense. It makes sense in the realms of Age of Sigmar, because a sword is a sword, an arrow is an arrow, basically. Sometimes you have magic arrows, which are slightly better. But it's always hard stone metal things hurting soft fleshy things is generally the rule of thumb. Sometimes the soft fleshy thing has a bit of armor, but in 40k, when you involve tanks, like for instance, a lasgun in my eyes has no place wounding a rhino, let alone an Imperial Knight on a 6, right? So
I agree.
yeah. So if
And
you're
in old 40k in Heresy, a strength 3 lasgun can't wound a rhino.
yeah, because a lasgun, because adding in the books, wounds another guardsman incredibly well. Like in the book, so a guardsman shooting another Imperial guardsman should wound on a 3 or a 4, but against a Terminator, or currently, wounds on a 5, which makes sense. If they make all guardsmen lasguns wound on 5s all the time, it arguably makes it even better, like versus vehicles.
Yeah, of course. So me personally, I'm an individual who, on the whole, would like to actually go back gently, not completely, but towards a lot of the rules that still existed in 7th edition and a lot of the ones we've seen reused in Heresy.
Yeah.
So, for example, did we need the giant ballistic skill chart? And we didn't need that, right? Because
No.
all you did was basically work out what your ballistic skill was and work out what your hit roll was. You could have just written 3+, 4+, 5+, no matter what.
Yeah.
We can keep the same ballistic skill. Weapon skill, I have a problem with. I have a real problem with weapon skill. A guardsman, like a Castellan, right? His weapon skill's 3+ with his sword, right?
Yeah.
So if a Castellan guardsman has a power sword, 3+ currently. He hits everything on a 3+. I mean, if he comes up against an Emperor's Children Chaos Lord,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be hitting him
No.
at all, right? So that shouldn't happen. So I kind of miss that mechanic. I very much miss the fact that certain weapons couldn't wound certain targets. So an Imperial Knight, in fact, could comfortably wade into guard infantry and be like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I just rolled out a
But
last
that's
cannon, finally I can be damaged.
Yeah, but that's what made putting anti-tank weapons in squads important. Like putting a melter gun in a guard squad was like now guard don't even care about special weapons because of Born Soldiers. You're better off having 10 guardsmen with las guns than you are putting
Just mass firepower.
than putting a plasma.
So I'd like to see the knight being able to wade in and not be able to be wounded anymore. I miss instant death. I really miss instant death. If Angron walks up to a Space Marine character with his strength 15 axe and bonks him on the head, I feel like he should just flat die. That should just happen. It shouldn't be any of this. And I don't feel like you should be able to use things like transhuman against people like
But then
Angron.
you'd probably then Angron becomes a lot more expensive to put on the table.
Well, okay, but he's more thematic in how he works and how he can be utilised. I also, dare I say it, I miss things like initiative. So we used to have a load of these complex mechanics in 40k from 7th edition and before, which still currently exist in the current version of Horus Heresy, that kind of made more narrative and thematic sense. Yeah, they were slightly more complicated, arguably, but I feel like it was just more thematic overall. So if I charged in an initiative 3 or 4 Orc into an initiative 8 Banshee, we didn't need a fights first or fights last mechanic, Joe, because you went, I'm initiative 3, you're initiative 8. You fight first, your initiative's higher. Simple
Or
as that.
if you charge someone through cover, you fought last because you're too busy trying to climb over the wall.
Yes.
Not I've charged a guardsman entrenched in a trench with an orc. The orc swings fires regardless. So, no, the guardsman is in a prepared position, like getting ready to receive the charge.
No, I don't necessarily want to go back to armor values and penetrating and glancing and armor facings. I mean, I personally preferred that. But I think I'd quite happily keeping everything with a toughness value and everything with a wounds characteristic. I'm okay with that. So a knight stays at toughness 8 and it keeps X number, 24 wounds. But a guardsman's last gun can't hurt him. Which is, like you said, means you need to bring your crack missiles, your melter guns, your last cannons and your guard armies. Finally, heavy weapons teams aren't just spammed mortars
or
everywhere.
even like have it so like a las gun can't hurt something over a wounds characteristic of 8.
Yeah. And we live in a world with 8th edition or 9th edition where with -1 damage and feel no pains and etc. Basically, mass low strength 1 damage firepower is what everyone goes for. Like a lot of weapons like cool last cannons and stuff, we just don't see many of them anymore.
No.
Because like I can take 1 strength 9 -3 D6 damage last cannon, which could do 1 damage, or I could just take more las guns.
Yeah, because like nowadays, another thing they need to fix is invalidating certain weapon profiles. So damage 2 is terrible in the game now.
Yeah, it's bad.
You either want damage 3 or damage 1.
Yep.
Because damage 2, you're like, oh, I've got like my blade guard, like go into anything with reduction 1, which is everywhere. Like I went into Knights, Armiger Army. Like all the Armigers -1 damage. I was like, okay, my entire army is invalidated now.
Absolutely.
Like Custodes, which should wade through Knights, run into a Knight army, and they're like, oh, every single weapon profile in our army is damage 2.
But I don't feel like the rumoured 10th edition changes, where you wound everything on the same, or you don't even roll a wound, fixes the problems we're talking about, really.
No.
I just don't feel like a Custode should damage a knight, I've got no doubt with that, but it should be even more easier for him to slaughter a guardsman. But even then, right, and then you get into a situation where an orc war boss walks up to a human, and you go, oh, it's Cadian, transhuman, Orc war boss is only winning on 4. An orc war boss would pull his fucking head off.
Yeah, when you see
Done.
When you see a unit of 5 Custodes go into a unit of 10 Cadians and kill 3.
I know, right? That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a real problem.
5 Custodes are used to subdue planets, right? not struggle versus 50 points of infantry.
Right, there's been some action in chat, Jay, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, we're going to say a big shout out and a thank you to Brent for his first ever super chat. What a legend. 2 bold old men, this is the old, thank you. Joe, get rid of the comb over. I mean, I've got clippers, we could just do it for tonight. Everything off.
I was tempted to go, I need to cut the sides.
That's how it starts, Jay.
Mainly because my partner was like, I want to trim the sides, because you look like a hobo. And I was like, true. But, which I hope that will draw away from the dog's belly, as our chat likes to call it. You
currently do look like you would be under a bridge drinking White Lightning out of a brown paper bag.
I mean, sometimes it does feel like a preferable
Big shout out, Tim, you absolute fucking legend for gifting 5 memberships. Please make sure you use those memberships, because now memberships and super chats is the way to support the channel and the only way to support the channel going forward. And we really need all the support, so thank you so much. Craft D Viking, welcome to Jarl.
What y'all talking about?
I was waiting for it. Thank you so much for coming and joining us, you absolute hero. Jarls, currently there is access in Discord to a Jarls only giveaway. Every single month at some point towards the middle of the month, we put up a giveaway. If you're a Jarl, you just click to react to that giveaway. If you win that giveaway, if you are drawn at random by the bot, which will normally be done on the last Tuesday of the month, you'll win a Combat Patrol box of your choice and we'll ship it to you.
Yeah.
If you're in the US or something, it'll take a little bit longer because Element, our sponsors, have to ship it to us and then we forward it on to you. If, however, you're UK, Europe, we can get it shipped directly from Element if you're happy with me sharing your address with them. But yeah, that giveaway is currently live. So if you're a Jarl and you haven't yet entered the giveaway, go and click the button and go and make sure you enter. If you're a Skald, it costs you £4 to upgrade to Jarl and then you can go into the giveaway. I mean, just like to give things back.
Yeah.
And, actually, the Huskals, who get a behind-the-scenes look, saw the new guard units that you're working on.
Yeah, tasteful nudes.
Yeah. What I haven't shown them yet, because we'll see it for the first time tonight, is the channel's new Eldar army.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. You're a hero for joining us. Grant says, for accessibility, I'd say it's time for 10th. So I think that there is an argument for that. And I would argue as well, against my own point, that the proposed or rumoured changes to wounding would arguably make it more accessible. Okay? Now, I've heard a bunch of AOS players who have the most fun with the way AOS works. And I think for me, the biggest problem is change, right? We all don't like change. Why have we got 300 people in chat and about 7,000 comments on my haircut? Because people don't like change, ultimately.
Yeah,
and I
scary.
think that a lot of people stepped away from fantasy when they changed to Sigma. And although not everybody, a huge portion of people did come back and start playing AOS.
The problem, the thing that killed the change from Warhammer Fantasy to AOS is they released an awful set of rules which had no point system involved.
And I feel like they've learned.
They're like, just put models on the table.
Do what you want, yeah.
And that people
gamers won't abuse it.
Yeah, cool. Like if your opponent is drinking wine, get a victory point.
I think there was one where you had to compare beards.
Yeah, if you're that was the Empire Banner Horseman guy. He was he's the one who hangs around with Franz, Carl Franz.
Ferdinand.
Yeah, he basically. But the rule was compare your mustache to your opponent's. If yours is better, you get to re-roll hits.
I love that.
If Night Goblins had if you're wearing a hoodie and your opponent isn't, you get +1 to hit.
Do you know the worst thing about those rules? I actually loved them.
They
were not good for a serious game, but I loved them.
So basically, in Magic the Gathering, they have another rule set, a whole block release called Unhinged. So it's not even part. So they have the normal Magic the Gathering, and then they have the Unhinged set of cards, which is take this card, tear it into 8 pieces, throw it up in the air, and any card it lands on, remove them from play. Which is great fun to play. But it's not
fun.
But it's not the proper rules.
No. If you're sat with a drink, chat plays.
Yeah.
Right? Chat plays is not the right way of playing 40k. Well, some people would argue, especially when Joe's doing psychic. But chat plays is not the right way to play the game, and I wouldn't ever consider making that actual rules. Actual rules for 40k are 1s and 6s and 6s. I would never think about actually doing that because it would be silly. But it's fun and it's enjoyable. AOS, when they came out with so I feel like they missed a trick when AOS first came out, and this is something that I'm kind of hoping they'd sort of fix for 10th edition. Whether they do or not, we don't know. When AOS came out, the actual rules that came out was actually probably not that bad for the beginner crowd.
Yeah.
What they missed is they didn't have an intermediate and an expert level when it first launched. So they didn't have people that would pick up the rules quite quickly, people that want to go to events and tournaments. They kind of didn't have that ready. For the beginner crowd, it wasn't the worst. Here's a bunch of super fun, super stupid rules. You can put whatever you want on the table. You don't have to worry about points. I think people will start to kind of police themselves. They were counting wounds against each other.
Yeah, it was wounds or model count and stuff like that. But even wounds at the time, I've got 30 wounds of Clan Rats versus your 30 wounds of Stormcast.
Yeah.
The Clan Rats still lose.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So I feel like they need. For me personally, a reset, not a hard one, but a change to 10th edition is something that we do need as a community in general. And I feel like one of the things they need to work on, back to the comment, is that they need to work on their accessibility. I've talked about it loads. Accessibility is currently quite bad in my opinion. And people have often argued with me and said, there's lots of breakdowns of separate rules and you can buy the command box. And you can. People don't do what people say they should do. So when a person who's played 40k for the last 5 years says, well, you can just buy the command edition and use the learn to play booklet. No one does that.
No.
They don't. People see these cool 2,000 point armies and they want one. And that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to start working towards.
It's I actually think that if they kept the rules as they were, tweaked a few little things, but then released, apart from World Eaters, all other codexes currently and supplements done, like the World Eaters book, I think will be in a much better place.
Yeah, I agree.
The World Eaters secondaries, they're a problem and need to be sorted. However, the book is so much easier to read, find stuff, like the Warlord traits for the unit that has it is on it, kind of thing. There's only 6 relics for the whole book. Imagine if Space Marines had 6 relics.
Oh, and that's how I would simplify 40k, if I'm honest. There's some things I'd like to see removed, and there's some things I'd like to see tweaked. AOS has got a mechanic where multi-damage weapons swinging in melee, damage will spill over because they're swinging these. And I kind of like that. Doesn't necessarily work in shooting because it doesn't make sense that a bullet goes through you and then goes off next and kills my mate. But if I'm swinging a giant axe around, it kind of anyway. So in that regards, there's some tweaks you can make there. I personally hate things like transhuman, transhitman. Hate them. And I have Harlequins. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like anything that is basically a free rule that means that you invalidate things your opponent can do.
I think transhitman and transhuman would be fine as their own thing, but if it made sense on the units is against. So
transhuman, for me personally, is fixed very simplistically with a -1 to wound.
Or I think it should be a given out aura ability from apothecary-based units.
See, I want to get rid of most auras as well. I don't like auras personally.
Well, so it's not an aura which is all the time. So your apothecary stood next to a unit. So like the Chapter Master reroll to hit, which I think is fine as a stay, but get rid of the 6-inch aura.
Yes, agree.
So an apothecary goes, this unit here is receiving my 5-up feel no pains, and they've also got transhitman or transhuman, and then that's it. Or just have it so characters join units again.
Yeah. Captain Mannering, thank you for the gifted membership. You're a hero, and apparently the characters joining units thing is something that's coming in 10th. Apparently, what I've heard is a character joins unit. This character joins that unit. That unit gets the reroll that he gives out. No one else gets it.
Yeah.
Is what I've heard.
Because I used to play Red Scorpions in 7th edition, and what was one of the great things about them is that you could upgrade every squad sergeant to an apothecary.
Yeah.
Because that was their army ability. But so which meant you didn't have to have apothecaries all over the place. But it meant that the unit that had the apothecary was in the bonus, but the one that didn't. And it was done. Easy, sorted.
Tim, is the haircut because you're getting a new tattoo on that Swede? I mean, I had thought about it. I like the whole Viking tattoos that go down the side of the head.
Yeah.
But with the potential risk of having to go back to work at some point in the near future, I'm not sure a head tattoo. If I could guarantee content creation for the rest of my life, probably just go for it.
You just go work at like Subway.
But if I can't guarantee content creation for the rest of my life, I feel like head tattoos probably, people say they don't, I feel like they probably cause you slight issues for interviews, especially for management positions, which is where my skill set lies. So, yes, I'd like to, Tim, but it's...
You could be a manager of a tattoo shop.
I don't feel like I'd want to do that.
No.
So yeah, I thought about like getting like half of this across the site. Like I think it'd be cool. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Russ, I would like to see 40k how Horus Heresy does the hit and wounds in 40k. Yeah, we've covered that. Russ, completely agree with you, mate. Absolutely. Jarl, thank you for gifting a membership. There's a lot of stuff coming through now. Andrew, it would be nice to see fluff integrated more into the rules. 200 guardsmen should be common with a plethora of special and heavy weapons. I actually,
bring back the guard platoon.
I really miss platoon. That's exactly what I was going to say. In 7th, there's a 5th edition codex somewhere in here that Mr. James Hobbs gave us.
Over here.
In the 5th edition codex, he used to, one troop's choice was a platoon, right? And your platoon was a minimum of one guard command squad, platoon command squad, and 2 platoon infantry units. This is one selection of the force organisation
I opened
chart.
it on.
No. This is sexual.
I'm listening to Iron Throne at the moment. And
Joe, I'm very sad.
Mordian heavy.
I probably won't be able to buy you any Steel Legion. I'm very sad about that.
I saw that Steel Legion release and I was like...
Troop squad team, right? The troop squads, infantry platoon, right? Composition: 1 platoon command squad, 2 to 5 infantry squads, 0 to 5 heavy weapon squads, 0 to 2 special weapon squads, and 0 to 1 conscript squads. That was one troops choice.
That's a patrol detachment now.
And you used to have a combined arms detachment, which meant you used to have 2 troops choices.
Yeah, and it's like, because you had to have 2, you got way more for that. Obviously, your other option was to take a veteran squad, which were better, but then also missed out on stuff because they were really expensive in points.
There were 70 points for a veteran squad as opposed to the 50 points for a command. So 130 points minimum for a troop squad. That's 25 blokes with lots of rules.
But if you think about that in terms of... Right, so AOS terms, right, you can have the... what are they called? Little regiment things. Where, like, I'm going to buy a bunch of dragons and they're all one drop. Right?
Yeah, the battalions.
The battalions, right?
Yep.
So your infantry platoon, if they go to an AOS style way of deployment, you could either go a veteran squad, drops on its own, or I bought an infantry platoon. I'm now dropping 3 squads of infantry, a command squad, a sentinel squad, and a heavy weapons team.
I really miss infantry platoons. I really missed them. Yeah. I'm with you as well. And the thing is, in the current iteration of the rules, if you went full narrative, right, a player in 2,000 points would deploy something like 5 custodians, and the guard player would deploy something like 600 guardsmen, and the custodians would probably still win.
Yeah.
Really, wouldn't they, narratively speaking? Now, on the tabletop, clearly that probably doesn't really work as much as I would want it to. It doesn't really work. But I feel like we should get more towards that narrative than where we are currently. And at the moment, we see things like, I'm writing guard lists, not for the narrative event, but competitively, that basically include 1 to 2 troops choices maximum.
I think what you do is you have that. So to play the guard, you've got the regiments of renown. So there's the something of the Red Angel for the new.
Yeah.
So you have the
Disciples.
Disciples of the Red Angel. So you've got normal guard, which plays like current guard now. You take what you want. And then you give them infantry commander, tank commander, almost like Company of Heroes. I'm going to go down the route of infantry commander. I can't take Lehman Russes, Bane Blades, or any tank Lehman Russ up. I can take Sentinels, I can take artillery, or I can take Chimeras. But most of my units have to be infantry. Or you've got, I'm a tank commander, which basically goes, if you take infantry, they have to be in the Chimera, but you can take stuff bigger.
Essentially, I'm fully on board going more down the narrative route.
Yeah.
Like I feel like World Eaters has kind of got a little bit in there, much like what you're talking about. But I feel like there's some issues. For example, Disciples of the Red Angel talks a lot about soul grinders, and you can't take them because they're demons, which seems wrong. Anyway, what I also want for narrative 40k or for 40k in general is for it to feel distinctly different from AOS.
Yeah.
Because it's a very different universe. I feel like the game should feel different. But that's me. I feel like if you take one version of this, so people have said this to me in the past, and I disagree. That they take one version of the rules and you can apply it to AOS 40k Heresy. No. I want all those games to be different. One of the reasons why I don't want 40k to become a 7th edition remake, as much as I said I like lots of the mechanics, is because then it's just Heresy again. But that should be a different game. It should feel different.
It's like, for instance, I love playing 40k. Like, AOS is cool, the rule system is great. I love playing bolt action because I like the setting, but I really love the rules for bolt action.
Rules are good.
I don't play Flames of War because I don't like the rule set, right? If the rule set for that was the same as bolt action, I'd probably be a bit more on the fence. But at the same time, I don't want it to be the same because when I go and play one game, I want it to feel like I'm playing a different game.
Yeah.
Like, if bolt action was the same rule set as 40k, I probably wouldn't play it because 40k is like my job and my hobby, but bolt action is my hobby away from my hobby.
Yeah.
Like, I want some time away from 40k. I'm going to play some World War II.
I do really, really, really want to play some Horus Heresy, but I don't have a Heresy army and I don't have an Age of Darkness box anymore. I gave them all away because I was so discombobulated with the rules. Thank you so much to Pie Walker, who gifted 10 memberships, Joe.
Hero.
What a legend. What an absolute fucking
Not all
legend.
heroes wear capes, unless
all
you
heroes.
are wearing a cape.
Yeah, you might be wearing a cape, in which case send photos to Joe. Ranulph, thank you so upgrading to Skull. You're a legend as well, thank you so much. JCMS Meta Monday, 10th is the edition they plan for 40k to break into pop culture and go mainstream. I think they want a simple and quick game to bring in more people. I mean...
The Hasbro rule set,
so
we should call it.
If that's true, I can see. However...
Right, so it's not the rules that stop people playing 40k. It's not even the setting. As we discussed last week, it's the price point.
The price point's one of the biggest issues.
People come into Games Workshop wanting to buy and play Warhammer, right? They go into Games Workshop knowing what it is. They come into the Warhammer stores knowing what it is. They see their friends playing it. They know what it is. The rules is not a problem. It's the fact that when someone comes into the hobby and they go, cool, I want to play Imperial Guard because that's got a new rule set. I love humans. I love infantry. It's very representative of me in my life now. And they're like, cool, to play a 2,000 point game, you have to spend £500 plus on models that might or may not be available. Right? And then
you went there.
And then you have to both build and paint them.
Yeah, which will cost you more in materials and tools and paints.
And some people are like, I love painting. That's great. I love building it. But I also don't have an expendable income of that level of money.
No, absolutely.
So it's not the rules that are keeping people out.
But interestingly as well, right? If you're looking at breaking into the pop culture, I don't necessarily think you're wrong, by the way. Like I can see that would be why they're making some of these decisions. We need to grow the channel, right? We need bigger reach, especially now. More important than ever before. We need to increase our sub count. We need to increase our member base. We need to increase our revenue. It's more important than it ever has been. And I've been wrecking my brains over the last week or so in how exactly, 4 or 5 days, how exactly we're going to do that. At the moment, nothing's changing. We're going to carry on as normal and continue to bring the entertainment and hope that the growth will be enough to sustain. And I'm starting to look at introducing some shorts here and there because they're just good for subscriber growth. Not my favourite type of content to do necessarily. I prefer the game streams, I prefer the talking head streams, but we need to expand the audience base, right? So we're going to probably add that in as well. What I could do, we've got this new channel, right? I've told you about it, it's in the description below, where we play video games, and Joe and I are playing Call of Duty. Mondays has become basically my day off. And because I'm super conscious about ever having a day off, I've turned my day off of video gaming into streaming.
Yeah.
Because I don't apparently know how to have an actual day off.
Yeah, but you still get to sit in a chair and.
So what I could have done instead is I could have just put that content on this channel, right? Because what is Call of Duty compared to 40k? It's more mainstream. It's more pop culture. It's more desirable to more people. It has a significantly bigger audience, a bigger customer base. It has bigger everything, bigger reach.
Yeah.
40k is a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. Call of Duty is not that niche based comparatively. So what I could have done to try and appeal to pop culture, to try and appeal to new people, I could have just put it on here. But I didn't want to do that because it dilutes what my brand here currently is. And I don't think it makes sense. And what you probably do is you piss off a lot of your current customer base. I guarantee you, and I would put money on this, there will be some people, a tiny amount, but some people that, because I've talked about the gaming channel quite a lot over the last 3 weeks, will have hit the unsub button. Because I go, I'm only here for 40k, I don't want him to talk about that. Which is fine. It's entirely up to each individual as to what they do and don't follow and what they do and don't support. But the reason why I didn't put the content on here originally was because I reckon that number would have been significantly bigger. People going, why am I watching this? I'm here for 40k. If you take the current edition of 40k as it is in 9th edition, the evolution that's happened from Rogue Trader all the way through 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th into 9th, and then you go, we're completely changing the wound mechanic that's kind of always been there. A lot of people are going to go, like they did with AOS, I'm out. I'm done.
I'm done.
And that's a real gamble for a company. Logically, if you are then, again, appealing to that pop culture generation and you're going mainstream, logically, if your customer base drops like that and then jumps to that, net win.
Well, the thing is, though, what you do, right, if you want to appeal to pop culture and you want to get more people into the hobby stays the same. What you do is something that they started and then stopped. You release pop vinyls. You release toys that aren't made really shoddily. You also release a cartoon series and a series of films, right? But you don't hide it behind a paywall.
Oh, that was their biggest mistake.
Right. If they'd taken Warhammer Plus and made it free for anyone to use, and they just put it on their YouTube channel, right? Or they had it on YouTube and funneled it through TikTok and through Twitch and stuff, right? Right, where anyone can watch it at any time without having to log into a terrible app, right? It doesn't matter the quality, because the quality of the videos on there, some of them are very, very good. Some of them are terrible. Some of them are okay. But it's the fact that I have to go onto this app, which then redirects me to a website, which I then have to log into.
Based on especially what's going on with me over the last week, right? GW, what they should have done, and I honestly believe this, and looking at what's happened with deployment zone over the course of the last year, I honestly believe this, would have been better off making Warhammer Plus a YouTube channel with some of the content for free and some of it paywalled behind members. And I reckon they would be making more money than they probably currently are. How they would manage things like the free models and stuff, I don't exactly know. That's something that people with more money than me can work out. But I feel like if they'd have done that, I feel like that just makes sense.
They just released them. You don't give them away for free, right? You just released them as... They started, ForgeWorks started this, an actual character series of models. They did it with a couple of,
well, you can do posts behind members' paywalls to your community page. So you could logically put linked posts behind members that only people that have got memberships can see, and then they can go and buy models. And some people would abuse it, and some people would buy 5 of them. But you limit 1 per customer. I don't know how they. But anyway, there's things that they could probably do. I reckon they would have just flat been making more money, including YouTube taking its 30% cut. Because YouTube, everything you're doing now, all the people that are upgrading, gifting memberships, super chatting, YouTube takes a 30% cut. I then take another 10% off to gift to charity every single month. So, but even with that cut, and then the taxman bums me. But even with that cut, I reckon they'd be making more money than Warhammer Plus in the long run.
Oh yeah.
Talking about memberships, Riv the Gamer upgraded to Jarl. You're a hero. Get yourself in that Discord for that giveaway. Mark Green upgraded to Haskell. I need some more behind the scenes photos, Joe. Lewis M have to drop off for a meeting, but keep up the amazing work. Love the stream. Thank you so much. I hope your meeting isn't too painful. Alunda Lorenzo, reducing options is not the solution. World just have like 5 warlord traits and 4 are rubbish. The solution is to give fair options to everyone.
Well, so what you do is you do the old Warhammer Fantasy rulebook, right? So you had, in the rulebook, there was fluff. Much fluff. There was then rules on how to play the game. There was then 12 missions, I think. And then, in the back, there was universal special rules, and then behind that was universal relics, universal warlord traits, universal spells. So every army had access to 20 warlord traits, 20 relics, 20 spells, right? And you could pick and choose from those. So if every army had the World Eaters 6, and so 6 warlord traits, 6 relics, or you could pick from the rule book, right? And that's how you expand it. And that's how you put balance into the game as well.
I think one of the things he says, I see where he's going with it, right? So if you're going to do that, and I think they should, like I agree with you, I think they should do that. But if they're going to do that, and you have just 6 warlord traits for sake of argument, then they need to all be competitively good. And when I say competitively good, I don't mean super sweaty on the table. I mean with each other. Yeah. If you ever end up in a situation where one of 6 warlord traits or one of 6 relics is just a flat auto take, and if we look at guard, Big Banner in Command Squad is basically the auto take. Barbarant's Key is basically an auto take. And if you're going to have another one, people are probably picking Gatekeeper, right? So 2 to 3 pages of, well, maybe more of relics. That's the one everyone takes. Why? Because they're just flat better than the rest.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, if you're going to do what you're saying, and I think they should, and you go down the route of every army has only 3 warlord traits, then you need to make sure that you look at those warlord traits and you go, which one do I pick? And then you look at your named characters like Angron, like Khan, like Lord Invocatus, and you go, but which one of those do I pick? Yeah. And actually, between the 6 warlord traits that I've just mentioned, it's a very hard pick.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. If they get that right, and I'm conscious it's hard, and I'm not a rules writer, we used to playtest, we helped quite a lot. And quite often when playtesting, you learn about a lot of the challenges that happen with 40k rules. When you go, we're going to tweak this rule to this, and then they come back to you and go, cool, but that then means this and this. You're like, shit, okay, there's a knock-on effect.
Have a look at the idea. Look at the fact that Armour of Contempt went away. All the armies bar 1.
This is a hot topic for you, isn't it?
Lingering very close to the bottom, right? To unusability, right? But Dark Angels seem to have done incredibly well out of it, right?
Yeah, but that's because there's 2 things there. First of all, their main source of durability isn't Armour of Contempt. It's the fact that they're all transhuman for being in a circle. And secondly, they can take mass storm shields for free, which essentially gives them Armour of Contempt because they get +1 save.
Yeah.
So losing Armour of Contempt essentially didn't impact them at all.
Yeah.
Because Blade Guard, +1 save, transhuman, storm shield. Deathwing Terminators, +1 save, storm shield, transhuman. They didn't actually lose. Interestingly. Revenants, thank you for becoming a new member at Skull Tier. You're a legend. I appreciate you. BMO, you too. Thank you for joining us at Skull Tier. Every single Tuesday night is currently members-only chat. So actually, I think the problem I have at the moment, Joe, is I'm not sure if there's a massive difference between Hasir and Skald Tier at the moment, because I don't think we can lock it between Skalds and above for members-only chat. I might just delete Hasir Tier, then we... Brent, thank you for the donation. You're a legend. Will the channel deploy some Space Vikings? I have a bunch here that Paddy said he was going to paint. And someone earlier said, are we going to see Paddy again soon? But he's out the country right now. Yeah. And I don't know if he's going to get to them. So it's whether...
Well, he was going to, and then Chris was like, paint my guard.
So it's whether, in all seriousness, it's whether Joe at any point in the near future wants to paint Space Wolves. However, Joe's list of stuff to paint is very big. And I don't like just giving him more and more and more stuff to do. So Joe's already got stuff to add to the Tyranids, to the Imperial Guard, to the World Eaters.
So currently I'm doing Guard stuff.
Yep.
I've got the Artillery to do, Scion to do, Horsemen to do. I think that's it, but there's a lot of them. And because I'm here 2 days a week, I only get to paint 3 days a week. And then after that, it's World Eaters. It's only 10 Berserkers, 6... 8 bound, I think.
Currently, I've got some jackals for you, but I haven't given them to you.
Yeah, I think there's 10 jackals at my house as well, which kind of I keep looking at, and I'm like, no.
I want to give you 20 in total to do.
And then it's Votan, because you've got like one of each of the units to add to it, like on top of the elite special units, not infantry and bikes. And then after that.
I need to buy some more Votan.
I've got
to warn you because Bron wants more options.
Yeah, and then I want to add to the Tyranids.
Yeah,
because I kind of neglected those since Games Workshop just took them round back and shot them.
I think you can still have some fun with them.
I'm probably gonna drag them out either if I get to play on Thursday or next week. I'll drag them out and.
So spoiler alert: you're playing Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Cool.
Because so am I.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else.
Oh.
So Luce's deck in 3 nights.
What's the problem doing? Don't say working, because I know he doesn't do any work when he's there. All right. You know that scene in the Mandalorian where Grogu's just like spinning around on the office chair, just spinning around.
So Brent, what I'm saying is we've got a bunch of Space Wolf stuff here, and I've got custom 3D printed shields for them to look more Viking and all that kind of stuff. Maybe one day I'll get to them at this rate, because I actually really like this. The only Space Marine chapter I truly, well, that's a lie. I love Space Marines, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves.
You like Space Marines with flavour.
I hate the rest. But the problem I have is that currently they don't really have any flavour.
Games. The problem is Games Workshop. There's a lot of Space Marine chapters that have a lot of flavour, but Games Workshop only support 4 of them.
But they don't even do that nowadays with Primaris.
No.
So it's about, the problem I have is when I look at doing Space Wolves, I'm looking at Deathwing.
Have you seen Fletcher's Space Wolves?
Don't. That man is abhuman.
I'm
looking at, and I've messaged him and told him that. I'm looking at things like Deathwing, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy Deathwing Knights. I'm going to use all the Deathwing Knight cloaks, and I'm going to put them on slightly bigger bases so they still kind of work, right? When it comes to Space Wolves, I did a lot of work. So, for example, I built all the Blade Guard, cut all the shield stuff off, and then I got the 3D printed. So I got to buy 3D printed shields for every single Space Wolf. I then went and raided bits boxes everywhere and eBay pages, etc., for bear heads. So every single Space Wolf will have a bear head, pretty much all with facial hair or the big, because they're Space Wolves. That's what they should look like. So yes, we want to see them on the channel at some point in the future. There is a little part of me that wants to do them myself, but that's probably, my hand might be forced there because Joe's got so much on already.
What I could do is I could sack off the World Eaters, because no one cares about them. I could sack off the Votan, although I was reading the Codex the other day. I was like, how can I just do this army better than Brom? And then yeah. So but these though, I've got a whole set of March of War terrain to paint as well, because we're getting a bit stagnant on terrain at the moment. Not stagnant in the sense that we don't have lots of choice, but the problem is we've been using all of this choice for the last year and a bit. And I want to add a little bit of freshness.
Ginger Steve says, another week of Angry Man hating on Black Templars. No, Black Templars are so nice as a model range that's why they're going to Siege. Andrew, thank you for becoming a Scold, you absolute hero. Love you dearly. Mr. Sven Holio gifted a membership, you legend. Lone Monkey Productions upgraded to Jarl. You get yourself that Jarl's only giveaway. Go and hang out in Discord. Make sure you're there. Chris Curden came in at Jarl as well. There's a lot of competition for Jarl giveways, by the way, now.
Y'all ready for this?
Amazing. Simon Shepherd, thank you so much for the donation. When's Joe shaving his head as well? Looks great. I actually don't necessarily think it wouldn't suit you. That was much
I'm
double
sure.
negative.
I feel like I would look like one of those ice road truckers.
I mean, I was stood there last night with the clippers in my hand thinking, I'm going to look like a knob when I do this. Yeah. And I was like, it grows back. Fuck it. Well, yours doesn't.
Mine doesn't. And the thing is, though, since I've been growing it, like the old receding hairline, although in the camera showing off, actually, is worse. I feel like the camera makes me look worse. I was like, oh, actually, I'm starting to get a bit of new growth. I'm like, oh, maybe if I like rub some linseed oil into it or some avocado, like I don't know, just some like whatever stuff that makes your hair grow back.
I think I feel like I would encourage the avocado, because I think every time you rub an avocado into your head, 100 vegans die.
Yeah. So like at the same time, I'll be walking around the house. I'm like, oh, there's a spider on me. No, it's
what I am gonna say is, I actually love it. It's so nice, Joe.
Yeah. Although Simon wears this fun little beanie. It looks like one of those like fisherman kind of woolly hats, the little one. He like
like a woolly condom.
Yeah.
I actually love it. It's so nice.
And I'm like, oh, that does look a bit more freeing.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, do I just hold out for another year to look like I actually tried, and then?
What do you think, chat? Answers on a postcard. So thank you, Simon. You're a hero. Starius with a monumental donation. You silly bastard! But thank you so much. We love you very dearly. Funds for more armies. We'll make sure once the cuts are taken, we'll make sure that does go into new armies if that's what you're putting in for. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. William Wills, initiative value would allow scope for narrative differentiation, e.g. between Eldar Guardian and Imperial Guard. Also, if no wound roll, Shuriken impact. So exactly, that's why I like that's why I really love the initiative.
Like a guardsman shouldn't fight before a space marine.
Yeah. So with the shuriken thing, I feel like that's not that hard to implement because what you do is you move the 6 roll to the hit roll, and then you add maybe an additional -1 to whatever their saving throw is if you just remove the wound roll, right?
Yeah.
So if you said that a shuriken weapon is already -1 to whatever the saving throw would be, however that mechanic would work, I don't know. And if you rolled a 6 to hit, you had an additional -1, maybe. But I don't. But to be fair, Will, I don't like the idea of removing the wound roll at all.
No.
I don't know. It's a tough one. Brother and I have played since 1st edition. If they do the rumours for 10th, we are staying in 9th edition. Don't want Sigmar 40k.
I kind of feel like all the wish listing I've seen, or not even wish, basically all the rumours I've seen is everyone's worst case scenario wish list.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens when it all goes wrong.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people who have looked at the potential rumours and gone, I don't like this idea.
Or it's Games Workshop just secretly putting out absolute dross. And then when the new rules come out, we're like, oh, it's actually not that bad. You know, it's not as terrible as we thought it was going to be. You know,
this is the thing, right?
It's like what Marvel is doing at the moment now. Just release crap and then hit us with a good film.
Yeah, if I'm honest, right, for me, 40k, and I'm not telling you that you should think the same, nor you for that matter, but me, 40k has always been about more than the actual rule set. For me, 40k is about the universe that it exists in. I actually really love the narrative of the universe. And I'm not a sci-fi person, right? I've always been a fantasy person. I'm Lord of the Rings over Star Wars, you know, I'm Vikings and
the thing is, like,
and Game of Thrones over Star Trek. I've always been a fantasy person, but the narrative universe of 40k, I adore it. I love it. I think it's so rich. It's such a great sandbox. However, I understand that people are attached to rule sets. The big thing about me, when I stand here and someone stands there, or however it is, and we're playing 40k, as long as I'm enjoying a tabletop game that simulates to some degree accurately the narrative that I love with a friend, and we're having a laugh, and it's pretty relaxed, and it's pretty easy to play, that's my perfect state.
Yeah.
The big thing about that whole thing was that I'm with my friend and I'm able to have fun because I'm not stressed about rules or worried about forgetting rules. Yeah. And the other part of that is that it to some extent correctly reflects narrative on the tabletop.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't want it to be too simple, like a baby game.
No, I absolutely don't want it to be too simple. But I feel like if it checks those 3 boxes at least, then I am highly likely to continue to enjoy the hobby.
Yeah.
And if they do a lot of what has been rumoured, if they go down that most extreme path with 10th edition, trust me when I tell you, people, I'll still be making content about it. I'll still be playing on stream. We'll still be doing talking heads. I'll still be loving it because of you lot.
Complex rules aren't necessarily a gateway either, right? Do you know what the #1 best-selling game in the world is? It's Monopoly.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
It is. It's Monopoly. Have you ever set one of those up? I hate setting up a Monopoly board because every situation I've ever been involved with, someone sets a Monopoly board, someone still has to sit and read the rules.
Doesn't Monopoly just simply incite family violence?
Yes. Right. It ends friends, but there's still a complex set of rules on it. Like Cluedo has got it sells like crazy. That's never died out. No. And that's got complex rules on it, but people still have fun on it. So I don't think the rules is the problem that people are like, oh, it's too complex. But the thing is that I just love Warhammer. I don't want them to mess it up because it's literally my job. And
mine.
And yours, yeah. and I don't want that to go away.
No.
Because I've read the rules and just yeeted it into the nearest river.
But
the problem is for a lot of people as well who've been doing it for, especially a lot of people in my core friends group, we've been doing it since we were children. We're too invested now.
Yeah.
We're so invested that stopping it is almost because then it's like, what have I done with my life up until this point?
Well, I mean, exactly. We're so invested that this is our jobs.
Yeah, and it defines our very being in our lives.
I mean,
like if I stopped playing Warhammer today, right? Obviously, me and you would still be friends, and we'd still play Call of Duty. Then what the fuck do I do with the rest of my time?
More Call of Duty.
Spend it with my family.
Well, we need to get that Call of Duty channel monetised. Yeah, spending my family.
No. They get a 40-minute session on a Saturday, and that's it.
Okay, you're quite generous.
Sorry.
I mean, I feel like, right,
Chicken tonight.
Don't shoot me down, chat here. Don't shoot me down. But I feel like there is a lot of people that are saying, if they do what they're saying with 40k, I'm flat quitting. And I believe that in the first instance, those people will do that.
But they'll come back.
They'll come back.
Yeah.
There's people that have come back in 9th edition, okay, which have who have not played since, say, 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Now, they're wildly different.
Yeah.
They're arguably as different as what 9th edition would be to rumoured 10th edition.
Yeah.
And they've still come back and gone, I just really missed the hobby. Because that's the other thing, right? I always explain Warhammer 40k as this massive triangle, right?
Yeah.
And whichever way around it doesn't matter, but your big base of your triangle, your hugest audience is those that are into the narrative and the lore, right?
Yeah.
That's your biggest audience. And as the triangle goes up like this to the top to the peak, you go from your narrative audience to your hobbyists, people that build, paint, convert, the modelers, etc. You go up to your players, you go up to your competitive players right at the top peak, right? Not that saying that they're the top, because you can flip the triangle around, it still works. Your biggest group is at the top, which is your hobbyists, not your hobbyists, sorry, your lore lovers, hobbyists, players, competitive players.
Just a funnel then.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a funnel, essentially. And so the thing is, the competitive players and players that form the bottom of that triangle, or top, whichever way you want to look at it, are the smaller group of people. Actually, it's the hobbyists and the lore givers which are the biggest customer base. Yeah. And some people will love the lore and love the hobby so much that they can actually put up with a rule set that they don't love, just so they can continue to do that hobby.
The largest section, your lore lovers and your hobby lovers, right, are also the smallest amount of spenders, realistically, because they might buy a box or a book once a month at best, right? Whereas I actually say you've got people that play the game for fun is like the next biggest one, and then the competitive scene is like a tiny little pinprick on the end.
Tiny little pinprick of really boring
but they
people.
are the most vocal bunch of douches ever. I'm partial to that group. I love competitive 40k, but it angers me so.
I mean, I'm the same.
Angers
Like,
me,
I
body
complain
and soul.
about competitive 40k, and I love competitive 40k, but there is a very select band of individuals that sit in the competitive 40k scene that aren't the top players, but they're not the medium or bottom players. They're just below the top players, but they think they're top players. They're the ones and they are the loudest as well. They're the worst, right? But on the whole, actually, going to like brawl events, Beachhead, which was a 100+ player event, and I didn't meet any douchebags at all.
I had an RTT down in Toyman this weekend. 40k Brawl. And I actually played Simon, and we had a great game, and it was wonderful. And I had 2 other games, which were great and wonderful. And Toyman in this area is kind of known as like the most competitive like store group in this part of the country kind of thing. And everyone there was lovely. There's like 1 or 2 outliers, but I didn't see them because I'm not good enough to get to that level. But like, it's super rare to come against one of those opponents.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they can make and break an event though at the same time.
Truck Station has said that one thing that I want to put out, it's not even a super chat, he said, I found other games that I loved, rules do matter. Rules do matter. It's not, I'm not saying they don't matter at all, they do absolutely matter. And then on occasions where they get things right, they will just have an explosion of new players, because not only will you capture all of the hobbyists and painters and lore lovers who will continue to play no matter what the rules are doing, but you'll catch a load of other people. Rules do absolutely matter. What I'm saying is that from my perspective personally, and I think I probably mostly speak for Joe as well, we love 40k and the hobby so much that even if I've played in shit editions of the rules, and I'll continue. I played at the end of 7th edition when formations were a thing, when Space Marines had free transports everywhere. It was a mess, and it was horrible to play in.
I did what a lot of other people did is I sat on the good ship Horus Heresy and waved 40k, waved it away. But the thing is, the Heresy at the time was the same rule set. Arguably, you could use a lot of the same models, but it just wasn't mad. But then also, one thing that Games Workshop needs to work on, which I think is the issue, it's not the rules themselves, it's how they deliver those rules, how they write those rules. like I said, we both really want to get into Horus Heresy. And my friends who play Horus Heresy says it's the best game ever and they're having loads and loads of fun. And when I see people online playing Horus Heresy, it's great. But when I pick up that book...
yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I don't understand it. I actually find myself falling asleep every time I pick up those books because I've got these 2 massive Bible tome things. And I'm like... I don't know how to write an army list. I don't know how to play this game because things happen when things happen, but I have to look in 2 different books in 4 different chapters. And if someone had said, "Here is the book, and we've laid out everything in order," I would probably be playing it. It's just.
Actually the layout of the
What we need is Horus Heresy Sherpas.
I got Age of Darkness.
Yeah.
I was wildly excited about Horus Heresy. This is the truth, and you can shoot me down. This is exactly how it worked, right? I got Age of Darkness. I was wildly excited about Heresy. I opened it up, looked at all the kits. It's like, okay, they look like they're slightly more complicated. Whoever split the doubly shoulder pads in half is a douchebag. But the rest of it, I was like, so the Spartan looks more complicated than it needed to be. But I actually like the fact that it's probably more aimed at hobbyists. That's cool. Okay, cool. I read the rule book. I read the rules. I was like, I like this. I like the rule set. I then waited, and I got my hands on the Liber Hereticus, whatever it's called, right? The rule book for Chaos. And I tried to sit down and work out without Battlescribe, because I don't think it had been updated at the time, because I got preview copies, and I tried to work, and I know people are going, well, you should wait for Battlescribe. That shouldn't be using a third-party app shouldn't be a requirement to make it work.
The Battlescribe wasn't updated for 3 months until.
So I sat down with the Hereticus book, and I sat down with the main rule book, and I tried to work out that just the rules for a Leviathan Dreadnought with a Siege Claw and a Grav Flux Bombard for Chaos. Oh my, that was it. At that point, I put the main Heresy rulebook back in the box, and I gave the Age of Darkness box away to someone.
Yeah.
Genuinely. That was enough for me. So rules do matter, and delivery of rules are massively important.
Because the rules for Heresy are good, but how they are delivered to people is bad.
Yeah.
Someone needs to just line those sticks out and actually make it readable.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes whoever's obviously been typing out the rules has obviously got the rules in their head. They know how the rules work. Like, when this goes to A into B, but Z is equal to D.
I tell you what, Jay. I'm going to shout out a friend, a guy we both know, and I'm going to prove a point that GW don't do this very well. Right? It's a friend about an hour away, big bad Mr. Stephen Box.
Yeah.
Runs a channel called Vanguard Tactics.
Yeah.
Right? That's not his primary product. His YouTube channel isn't his primary product. His primary product is he sells an academy where he's teaching people to be competitive gamers. That has kept him in business for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And he also sold Learn to Play courses, which sold out every time.
Yeah.
So people are prepared to go to a third-party individual and pay them money to learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
So surely, if GW put the same effort into teaching people, and I'm not saying we want them to trash Steve's business, but if GW put the same effort into teaching people how to play the game, they just get more players.
Yeah, because this is one man in his office making these videos. Obviously, he's got his team. He's got Jake and Mike and stuff who like come in and help him do battle reports and stuff. And sometimes he needs a second person. But he's the one writing all these rules. This is one man doing on his own, right? Compared to Games Workshop, a multi-million pound or dollar corporation that could hire several people and do it. I don't want to say better. But they can inject a lot more money than Steve has into doing this product. Yep. They could hire famous people if they wanted to. I reckon Henry Cavill would probably do it for free.
Well, they did. I mean, they kind of did it a little bit. If you think about it, when AOS was in its infancy, or I don't know if it was in infancy, they grabbed that. She works for Wizards now. Becca Scott.
Yeah.
They grabbed Becca and they did some videos with her about this is how this works. This is what this is. And I don't think they were done very well. But the principle was a good idea. And that's something I think they should have developed, right? So here's a bunch of videos that's going to teach you the core mechanics of 10th edition 40k. I know I'm conscious, chat, we've gone wildly off skew here. But here's a bunch of videos about how we can teach you the core of 10th edition 40k. You know what I would do? I wouldn't put it behind a Warhammer Plus paywall. I'd stick it out for free on YouTube. Yeah. Okay? This is how you learn to play Warhammer 40k.
Games Workshop got some good connections to so you had the Warhammer kids novels, didn't they? Which is read by David Tennant and Billy Piper, right?
So they've got some big names involved,
right? Like what's her name? Catherine Tate. She was Inquisitor. What's her name? The one with the big hat. The one with the little crossbow.
I don't know. High Lord of Terror says, I used to do beginner games when I worked at G-Dubs for free. I mean, you should probably sell them now, mate.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm going to jump into chat very quickly. What's your thinking, Joe?
Oh, anyway, yes, Catherine Tate did it, and then Andy Serkis did the voice of the Grey Knight guy in that new Grey Knight game, and they did a video of Peachy giving him
Greyfax.
Thank you. Peachy was giving Andy Serkis a painting lesson on how to paint Grey Knights, whilst there was another guy from another company who was doing the interview, and it was all lovely, 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 right? Like, if they'd utilised the accessibility of the actors that they worked with.
I mean, they can make... It's going back to a very previous Super Chat about pop culture and going mainstream, I feel like they could do it very easily.
Yeah, like when you've got... It's like, oh, Doctor Who teaches you to play Warhammer, by the way. People would be like,
I'm in.
I'll watch this.
Yeah.
I'll give you some of my time.
Look at what happened when they announced the Amazon relationship with GW and the involvement of Henry Cavill. The share price went like that, right? It's quite simple.
Yeah, Gollum teaches you to paint.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Right?
Arm Holio, thank you for the donation. You're a legend. If Joe cuts his hair, can he do it Friar Tuck style, please?
No.
Please?
No. I don't have a vast amount of respect for myself, but there is a limit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would like that. Bit of Apple Stan. I like that idea. Dan Skippy, thank you for the donation. Didn't say anything. I don't know if you're still in chat.
But thank you.
But thank you, you're a hero. Casey Jones's Ghost became a Scald. You're a legend. Thank you so much. Nearly 25 new members. Thank you, people. You're amazing. Ben, thank you for the donation. A well-designed app, digital-first mindset, a well-linked USR would make the game so much slicker. That's my 10th edition wish.
That app fell on its face, didn't it?
That is also a wish of mine and something that I fear won't happen. Ben, I think that digital first is, and I don't want to get rid of books. I'm a book fan. I love books. I love having all the codexes. I love having all the books, right? So I have absolutely no desire to lose books, but I think they need to redesign the way that books and rules work in conjunction with each other, and I think a digital first mindset is 100% the way they should go.
I love having the physical copy that gives me a code to access on the app. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever, right? What I have an issue with is the fact that I can't just buy the digital rules separately.
Yeah.
I have no real interest in collecting orcs.
But
right?
Joe, you used to be able to.
But when the app first came out, I had the orc rulebook for free because I paid for the app, right? Whereas now... So the orc rules came out for free, didn't they? Anything that came out before the app, the rules are free as long as you pay for the app. Any ones that came out, you had to buy the book, you got the code. I would happily now just buy the codex rules without the paper part, just so I had them. Like if I'm at a tournament or an event and I have to play against an orc player, having access to the rules, I'll pay for a tenner.
Look at this. See what this is here?
Yeah.
The codex supplement, Angels of Death.
Yeah.
Right? iBooks. Apart from this here, painting Ultramarines, right? There's a bunch of other Codex Inquisition, Codex Orcs, Gamers Edition. I used to have all the iBooks because you could just go into Apple Books and you could just buy the book.
Well, Warhammer Plus keeps releasing old White Dwarfs and supplements and.
Not only could you just buy the book, but if you bought Gamers Edition of the book and you scrolled to a rule that said, I don't know, Blood Tithe. You used to have it used to be underlined, you click it, and a box would pop up, and it will tell you how it works.
Yeah.
I'm like, they've done it, and they've done it well as well. It's so annoying. You used to just be able to buy the books. You didn't have to have the physical copies. And it's an iBook, so it can be updated.
Yeah. I don't even mind the fact that the whole app is run through Google Docs, because it just loads because the app loads faster than Battlescribe does.
Yeah.
A lot faster, a lot more efficient. But the problem is what one of my biggest gripe about the app is you type in the name of something and it doesn't find it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make Contemptor.
Because you've capitalised it wrong, maybe.
Yeah.
Someone Carl said the fact that the books are out of date within weeks sometimes is a killer. I mean, some of them
are released wrong.
Yeah. But thank you, Ben, for the donation. I agree with you. Squirrel Fund says Noble. I don't remember what the Squirrel Fund... Oh, that was for my savings because... Yeah. Lehman says, so when's the Liam and Joe Academy starting?
When 10th edition comes out.
It's a 3-video series at £400,
Yeah.
and that's not a rip-off to you people because you play 40k.
Yeah. Yeah. Eddie won't be involved though. So,
No, and we're all topless.
We're not letting him near it because he was the last person to like think about it. So no.
It was, yeah.
I know he's here. I saw him
He's in chat.
pleading for friends.
He's put a little Sancho emoji on there.
Making all about himself.
No.
I'm here, by the way.
Yeah, I'm fine with the rules changing, but I'd like 3 years to play a finished game, not 3 months. Indexes should replace codexes, separate the lore and sell that, but make rules free. Agree.
What I kind of wish they did is they released new editions at Christmas.
Isn't Bolt Action's core rules free? I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think it is. But then every box set you buy that comes from them comes with the rules in it. So if you buy your army box set, say you want to do Blitzkrieg Germans, the rules come in the box.
I really like Bolt
And
Action.
in the rule book is the rules for every army.
I really like Bolt Action.
Yeah.
We're a Bolt Action channel from now. That's it.
All right. I love Bolt. I love it so much. It's such a better game. But I love Warhammer as well.
Imperium Peregrinium, I think I've said that wrong, fix the way the FAQ and data slates are done. Yeah. I mean, that's another problem they have, right? So I feel like part of this, like in the interim at least, is a really easy fix. So I don't understand why I can't go to the download section of the Warhammer community page, go to, what am I playing tonight? Eldar. Go to Eldar, right, in that section, click one download. And I don't know why they can't amalgamate every update into one simple document for me. So I feel, so they released the Munitorum Field Manual, and they made the change of making the Munitorum Field Manual digital only and free download. Right choice. 100% right choice. They shouldn't be charging you for points updates. No. 100% the right choice. So I've got no problems with that, right? We've got the balanced data slate, which will cover every faction that needs an adjustment, and it comes in its own document. Then you have an FAQ per army, okay? Why can't they take the extract, because this is just copy and paste. Take the Eldar extract from the latest balanced data slate and put it on an extra page on the FAQ. Take the points extract from the Munitorum Field Manual, put it on an extra page of the FAQ. You go to the Eldar section of the FAQ, you press download. The first page is the errata, the second page is the FAQ, the third page is the balanced data slate, the fourth page is the points manual. If you're an Eldar player, you go to one place, you print one document, you have everything you need to make you up to date. This isn't the perfect fix either, because we shouldn't have to have pages and pages and pages of, I mean, erratas, things like erratas and some of the FAQs would help if they just fucking proofread their documents. Like, it's not, anyway, it's so bad, in fact, that Lord Invocatus comes out for World Eaters. It's so they've got such a shit reputation for writing their own rules that Lord Invocatus comes up for World Eaters, and despite the fact that the narrative in the book states that he flies through the air, everybody sees the fly keyword in his keywords and goes, must be a cock-up, that must be a mistake. It was actually meant, but they're so renowned for being shit with their rules, a bunch of people assumed it was wrong.
My favourite one was the World Eaters FAQ. Can Khan take a universal warlord trait? No. That didn't even need an FAQ, right? So why in the FAQs do they answer random stupid questions, but then never address questions that a lot of people actually have? They're very selective about what things they answer as well.
Yeah, it baffles me. It baffles me how they could put things in 5,000 different places and then expect players to keep up with it. So one of the things, we run a narrative event. I help run a narrative event at Factorum. Right, those narrative events are going to continue, by the way, for people that have been asking questions. They're not going to stop. I'm going to continue to support them personally. Yes, it's a lot of time and effort, but they're fun and people are enjoying them, so that's what's important to me. So these narrative events that we run at Factorum, we have made the conscious decision to not use the Munitorum Field Manual, not use the balanced data slate. We use the latest FAQ because it clarifies, but you basically turn up with your codex and you just play with your codex. And yes, there's some balancing issues, but you know what? It's narrative 40k, so balancing issues aren't so much of a problem.
Well, codexes are very narrative on release.
But one of the biggest pieces of feedback we've had is it's so nice to just be able to turn up with our codex and play. Because people don't want to, like, we've been caught out on stream a number of times and someone said, oh, I think you'll find this rule different. And someone's been sat at the deck, I've done this, sat at the deck, digging through documents to try and find where it tells me. And I can't find it.
Yeah.
You know, that's mental.
I think the app the 40k app needs to have integration with all their downloads and FAQs as well.
It's like, okay, the Votan, right? The Sagittar. We had this last week, the L7 missile launcher, which Battlescribe told us that we could take the L7 missile launcher and the Sagittar missile launcher as one, as a 10-point upgrade. And we could not find it anywhere. It wasn't in the Votan FAQ. The codex clearly stated they were separate. It wasn't in the balanced data slate. It wasn't in the errata. It was nowhere. Do you know where it was? In the Munitorum field manual. It was a points update change that told you that they came as one.
Yeah.
Now, we knew they came as one because that's how they come in the kit, but we couldn't find legitimately written down anywhere rules that state you can replace the last cannon or the last beam weapon with the L7 and Sagittar missile launcher. That's a problem. And High Lord of Terrors just said in chat, and he's right, things like Wahapedia exist. Like, he even does stratagems better than Games Workshop because he lists them by phase.
Yeah.
So you can go to Wahapedia, go to Eldar or Guard, go to stratagems by phase, scroll down to the movement for your opponent's shooting phase, for example, look at that area, and it will just list all the ones you can use. You press it, and up a little box comes. Like, some Russian dude who's doing it basically for free does a better job than Games Workshop. So if we're going to look at accessibility for 10th edition, if we do think 10th edition is coming and we don't think it's too soon because we do want to improve the accessibility, the way to do that isn't by removing the wound issue, it's by fixing everything we've just spoken about.
Yeah, I think with 10th edition, yes, the game's a bit of a hot mess and a new one is kind of needed. I kind of think that they should have delayed it till January, right? Spend the rest of the year fixing the problems.
Yeah,
get all their ducks in a row, you know? Like, the app doesn't work how we want the app to work. Get that in a position where it functions. Like armies, like how we put information out into the world isn't clear and precise enough.
Yeah.
Get that sorted. So when they go into the new edition, they have new avenues of processing information.
Yeah.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. So I agree. But this is what I'm saying. If we want to improve accessibility, if it isn't too soon for 10th edition, and a lot of people out there are saying we need it for better accessibility, like the super chat we had earlier, then what they need to do is fix the way the rules are released, fix the way the rules work. They don't need to do.
Rules aren't accessibility. Accessing the rules and information is accessibility.
Yeah, they don't need to. They don't need to just change. They don't need to just change a wound roll to make it simpler. They need to fix everything else because ultimately, if they make that change and they continue to release rules the same, release FAQs the same, then we have the same problems. They don't actually go away.
So because at the moment the accessibility isn't the rules. I am Kenneth, right? And I, Kenneth, have decided to spend all of my hard-earned, expendable income, right? I've decided I don't want to play golf anymore. I want to play Warhammer. Real men.
Well done, Kenneth.
Right, I've made the right life choice.
The right choice.
And I walk into Games Workshop, and I'm met by Delalio, the Games Workshop staff member. And Delalio is like, well, what do you want to play? AOS or 40k? And I am like, I don't know. I like models. So the guy goes, what models do you like? And they go, I said, I like Space Marines. They're cool.
No one says that.
Love Space Marines.
No one says that.
Futuristic night people.
No one says that.
And you're like, cool. Like, how do you like your army? Do you like stealthy people? Do you like combat guys? Do you like shooting? I'm like, oh, well, I do D&D because I'm like hyper nerd. And I play a rogue. So I should do stealthy Space Marines. And you go, cool, Raven Guard. Stealthy Space Marines. Right? And I go, cool, what do I need to play Stealthy Space Marines, right? And then Dalio goes, well, you need the supplement. You need the Space Marine Codex. And I'm like, cool. I said, need 2 books to play the game. Delalio's like, no, 2 books, no. And
where's this going, Joe?
basically, right, if I want to go into a Games Workshop as Kenneth and I want to learn to play Raven Guard, I have to buy the supplement from an edition ago when none of the rules are correct. Because all the rules have been changed.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Some of the supplements haven't been released yet.
No. So if I want to play Space Marines, I have to buy 2 books, a Forge World book, the rule book, the Munitorum Field Manual.
I mean, to be fair,
yeah.
Kenneth used to play golf, Joe, so I feel like he can afford it.
Yeah, but the problem is that there's no
In fact,
walk into a shop and this is how you play the game.
Kenneth used to play golf and do D&D, so what does he do for a living? A lot of free time, this man.
He helps people with their taxes. Or not.
Okay, yeah, like people like Jimmy Carr. Okay.
Yeah. So, so I think the thing is, if you want to go in and just learn to play the game, the rule, like we said, the FAQs, supplements, and books where the rules aren't even correct, the Games Workshop still sell.
Yeah, that annoys me.
Right?
Like Brom, bless his heart, will play Ultramarines and he'll pull the Ultramarine. He'll do it tonight because he's playing Ultramarines tonight, and he'll pull the Ultramarine supplement. I'm like, why are you looking at it? Yeah. It's all wrong.
Right. The Iron Hand supplement, not a single rule in that book is exactly the same as when it came out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the best thing, to be fair, to come out of this whole stream is you just going, I am Kenneth. That's it now, right? Anyway.
Embodied Kenneth.
A couple more super chats have come in. Bunch of people also in chat in grey names. So get yourself a membership, come and join us in the Great Hall, or someone try and snipe them and go for that headshot. Mr. Sven says, all codexes should come with a Warhammer app. Make it worthwhile thing to have. So at the very, very least, all codex rules should come with the Warhammer app for free. I also hate the fact, by the way, this is a backward step. You have to buy a codex to get a code to put into an app.
Right.
Whereas previously you could just buy the book.
Why? So you've got the code here. Zip, right?
Yeah.
Right. Go and find the app. Right. Why isn't there one of those little hologram things that I use my camera to take me to the app?
You mean a QR code?
One of them. Right. Right. Do the work for me, Games Workshop. I need an app. Okay. Use this code to unlock the app. Please visit the warhammer40000.com/redeem. Right? So you don't even go to the Games Workshop website, the shop that you've just gone into to buy this book. Right? So just put your little QWERTY code thing there. Boop. Done. Takes me to it.
Right, we go.
Finito.
QWERTY code, QR code. I'm going to get you a T-shirt. I'm going to replace this with a QR code so people just scan your chest to become a member.
Yeah, so that's accessibility.
Joe, we've still got super chats coming through. We're supposed to finish in 2 minutes, right? Warmaster Will, my issue with Games Workshop when they change a rule to tweak to one army, they don't look into it. They just swing the hammer, and a lot of other armies get smashed. Yes. I mean, again, things like Armoric Attempt are case in point, right? They often take a sledgehammer approach to a simple problem, and then there's loads and loads of knock-ons. Like I have said though, when we were playtesting, sometimes you can put a suggestion forward for a rule that you think would actually be quite a simple, quite an elegant fix, and then often someone will come back and go, well, actually that means this, and even people like us who think we're great at coming up with new rules will go, oh shit, actually that's a point.
Yeah.
So I give them some slack about that, but they often do. You are right. They often do come in with a sledgehammer to fix a problem that just needs a gentle tap.
And tiny little changes also can change the meta.
Here's the other thing, right? I'm going to bore you with management talk, okay? Change management, right? It's a thing I used to do quite a lot of.
Go in, kill them all, replace them.
Change management in very simplistic terms, in fact, change management in general terms is actually quite simple. And one of the biggest principles that I've always encouraged people to talk about when I've helped with change management, when I had subordinates in my last job, etc., it's very easy. I want to do this, this, and this. I'm like, cool. Make one change. Because if you make 3 changes, 2 changes can have a positive impact. 1 change can have a negative impact. That change that has a negative impact could arguably cancel out one of the changes that's made a positive impact. So you do have a net positive result.
I've got an alarm for some reason. It says, morning. Apparently I was planning on waking up at 3 today.
So you can have 1 negative, 2 positive. The negative could conceivably counteract one of the positives.
Yeah.
At that point, you have 2 actions that you're doing that net result 0. So what's the point in doing either of them? You might as well not bother. If you make 1 change and it's positive, you're like, cool, that was positive, we're keeping that change. You make the next change, it's positive, cool, we're keeping that change. You make the 3rd change, it's negative, we get rid of that change.
Yeah.
And you end up with 2 positives.
Well, yeah, because you've got to think, right? In 8th edition, everyone was running 6 planes. Everywhere. Planes for days. And then they brought in a lot of rules and weapons are like, you get +1 to hit versus units with fly, which meant you never saw aeroplanes or units with fly, right? And then those rules are changed so it didn't work against fly, it only works against planes. So then the units with fly came back in. But we're now in a position after 4 years where planes aren't even in the game anymore. You have to wait 2 turns for it to come in. If you're a Helldrake, you have to wait until the second half of the game before you can even attack anyone.
I might bring loads of planes tonight against Brom just to confuse him.
Yeah.
Thank you to Three Amigos. No, it's not Three Amigos Studio. We'll go to you in a minute. Try Hard Eddie, Kenneth's Hair Fund. Yeah. Three Amigos Studio, thank you for the donation. Last experience with indexes left my Eldar on the shelf for a year. Thoughts on reprinting strats, data cards, and make some once game or X cards turn?
I think they need to sack off these things.
So
these need to go.
I don't personally like stratagems, to be fair, for Amigos, but however, I think that there are a number of things they can do that improve them, and exactly what you're saying is what I would do. So SN Battle Reports, they're doing the SNGT at the end of April. They have special rules in place where you have to select, I think, 5 stratagems before the event, and they're the only ones you can use. You get to pull from all the ones available to you, including core. So if you don't take Command Point Reroll, or you don't take Insane Bravery, you don't get access to it. I love it. I love that. I love the fact that, because a lot of people will look at their codexes and go, here's the 5 cool ones I want, and I'm going to rock up my World Eaters and they won't have 2 CP interrupts. I'm like, thank you, good, I like that. The other thing you can do is, and this is one I also really, really like, and I don't know which one I prefer, is you can go, each stratagem is 1 use per battle.
Yeah.
So if you want to heroically intervene, not heroically intervene, sorry, you want to interrupt, you can do that once. You want a transhuman? You can do that once.
Yeah, I really like that, because that then also, those stratagems then influence the theme and build of your army.
Yep.
Massively. So like as a guard player, you go, okay, I'll take a reroll.
Yep.
I've taken infantry and vehicles, so emotional breakout.
Yep.
I'll take that as a secondary. I've got a couple of Lehman Russes. Vengeful Salute. Right?
Exactly.
I'm not taking Caden infantry, so I don't need to take...
Yeah.
That one stands. So then you say, well, if I've taken Command Point Reroll, well, I might as well take Lady Krieg, because you can do it twice. So then, I'm not taking horses, so I don't need to take the random charge stratagem. So yeah.
Green Blood Crusade, thank you for the donation. 9th has good bones rather than smashing it apart and starting all new issues. Fix 9th. I agree. It has got good bones. The core rule set for 9th is probably one of the best we've ever had. So yeah. I do agree with you.
The 8th edition, near the end, it's going towards 9th edition COVID, so many people came back to the hobby.
I mean, the start of 8th specifically, actually. But I don't think we need to smash 9th open with indexes. I wouldn't go down that route.
8th edition is when Boxy came back to the hobby.
Yes,
that's where he built his whole business off of coming in for 8th edition.
Yeah. Starius, thank you for the donation. How much super chat to get you to shave your beard? $10 million.
Pounds.
Okay, £10 million.
Yeah, euros. That's even better.
Twice if you want Joe to do it as well. I'll take £10 million each, and then we can.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said each there. If you, I'll take 10 million for Joe as well, but I'm keeping it.
No, I said each. Okay. But if we did that, we could keep doing this. We wouldn't have to worry about monetization anymore.
No.
Taylor says it kind of sounds like the best option is to keep 9th alive and allow people to use the rules in their supplements. Yeah, I mean, I would give 9th another year personally, and I think a little bit of tidying, and I think we're okay, right? I think. I don't think we don't need 10th. I think there is an argument to say that we do need 10th. And the only reason why I think we do need 10th is simply because I don't see them solving the problems we just talked about.
8th edition was sold as a living rule set, wasn't it? So there were going to be no more additions. Like, we will improve our community outreach, we'll improve our FAQs. Any changes that need to be changed will get done quickly, and it will all be fluid, you know?
Yeah. Ben says, Liam, you're talking about common sense and proper processes. Games Workshop won't do any of that. Correct.
No.
Finally, Steve Smith, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. That puts us on 25 members. If you are a member, you'll be able to be involved in chat tonight as we bring the brand new channel Eldar to the tabletop to take on the Ultramarines and a classic Eldar versus Ultramarines game. So look forward to that one. It'll be members only live chat because at the moment I'm trying to get as many eyes on the channel as possible because we're trying to grow the size of the channel. So thank you everybody. You're all amazing, and coming in at Scold Tier is super important to us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
We look after our members. Polish them up.
Also, I've had a couple of emails from people that have gone into the video description below, looked at the gaming channel link, clicked it, and hit subscribe for the gaming channel that we're now running on Mondays.
There's 331 of you, right? Just follow the link, go over there, subscribe, come back, right? It's 2 seconds of your time, but it's a massive bonus to us. You don't even have to watch the content if you don't want to.
No, I would rather they did. We need to watch time.
If you'll watch 10 minutes, That'd be super helpful.
We need the watch time quite significantly.
I know, but we also need the members.
We're like 480 subs and we need 1,000.
Yeah.
We're like 1,170 watch hours and we need 4,000.
Because once we hit that point, we can monetize it. We can start to.
We can fleece you for more.
Yeah.
So we can buy Joe a PC.
Yeah.
And then we get Joe streams.
Yeah. Because if I got a PC, I can then stream on my own. If you can't do it, and then I don't know. I could play single player games like the new Resident Evil's out next week. I really want to play that. It's very exciting. And then I can do Joe's Wandering Hands. Also, I could do a video about it as well.
Right, on that note, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on the Liam and Joe Show. We've run over by 5 minutes, but it's been an interesting discussion. If you've got points that you wanted to make about it and we haven't been able to capture comment or capture we've caught all the super chats, but if you weren't able to super chat, once the video finishes, make sure you go into the comment section below and drop it. Joe and I do typically read them all. We might not respond to all of them, but we read them all. So if you've got a point to make, drop it in below. Sometimes, some of the points that some people make turns into a topic for a future video. So make sure you go in and comment. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash that like button. Thank you to everybody who has so far. 260 likes, Joe, essentially.
That's lovely.
On a Tuesday lunchtime stream.
Yeah.
And live viewer figures that half the channels in the UK would be jealous of.
So apparently there's a lot of people like Brom that sit at work.
Don't do anything.
And just watch videos all the
time. So thank you so much for joining us. You're incredible people. We love you very, very dearly. I hope we see you tonight, 7:30, Eldar versus Ultramarines, Tempest of War. I'm excited. That's everything. Anything you want to add?
I love you all. You've all been brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Have a wonderful time.